National Health Service figures for drug poisonings in England in 2014 show that benzodiazepines far exceed illegal drugs. There were 15,385 benzodiazepine cases compared to 2,450 for heroin, 2,306 for cocaine, and 739 for cannabis. Where death is involved, heroin and morphine top the figures in England and Wales combined, but benzodiazepines are in third place. The 372 deaths in 2014 were an 8% annual increase and the highest benzodiazepine mortality rate since records began in 1993. Diazepam, the generic drug in Valium, was used in 258 cases, the highest number on record according to the National Statistical Bulletin. Other drugs were usually involved as well, as Professor Ashton said. So, with such dangerous drugs being widely prescribed, is there a moral responsibility for the drug companies to properly research this disaster?
Well, drug companies are a business, and when many medical students do actually go into drug companies, they've got far more facilities and things, and we always used to say, oh, you're going to sell your soul. They do sell their souls, and the drug companies are there to make money. I don't think they have any more scruples than tobacco companies, which are already making a great fuss about smoking, and the drinking industry. They're all making a terrible fuss if anybody tries to stop them. So I don't think drug companies would fund it.
Yes, the problem is that most of these tranquilizers and sleeping tablets are out of patent, which means that there's no profit left in the drugs. Now, the only financial incentive which would come would be if there's a lot of medical legal cases which develop, so that people are beginning to sue because they've gone through a withdrawal reaction. But there are cases now which are coming through. Now, I predict that if those cases are successful, and so far they really haven't come to court, we will find that the doctors' organizations will start to issue warnings that long-term prescription is not acceptable. This is what we call ex-label prescribing. In other words, it's not covered by the license which the medication is given when it is authorized. So I think that might be a development, that there will be a tightening up, but it will be imposed on the medical profession by the legal profession. Lawyers are looking for personal injury cases, and if they can tap into this, get a few cases in which the judge is on the claimant's side, that is the patient's side, you could open floodgates of everybody who's been on medication beyond the licensed month or whatever, threatening to sue their general practitioners. And that again, I think, or the National Health Service, of course, that again, I think, would be a major development. But I don't see many signs of that. There's starting to be cracks in the dam, but they're not large yet.
But they are suing successfully. In 2015, Luke Montague, heir to Lord Sandwich, got £1.3 million sterling in damages and costs in a benzodiazepine case. There was inappropriate rapid withdrawal and misprescribing of the benzodiazepine clonazepam, causing him many painful symptoms and costing him his job. He's now a campaigner on the issue of prescribed drug dependence and a founder of the Council for Evidence-Based Psychiatry. His traumatic story was reported by the Sunday Times. His lawyer Caroline Moore, a director of UK legal firm Medical Solicitors, has secured damages for many such clients, depending on the severity of the benzodiazepine harm and income losses. You want to see proper research done into the possibility of brain damage after the evidence that you compiled in the early 1980s. Is it going to be possible to do that kind of research now with techniques that will make it clear whether or not this is true?
Well, they'd be much better than the rather crude techniques we used many years ago when, we just had these brain imaging techniques being available.
But this kind of research, you feel, should be done. If it's not going to be done by the drug companies, should it be done by the government?
Well, I think it should, but we fought this battle years ago, and I think there are other people who could look at this. What we need, I think, is a wake-up call where we find people who are showing signs of brain damage, even if it's just functionally to start with, and that this would act as a catalyst to persuade the research organizations, the government research organizations, to provide the appropriate money.
Can we look now at the possibility of long-term brain damage caused by benzodiazepines? In your view, is this possible? And if it is possible, are there ways and techniques available now today, research techniques, which could prove or disprove this?
Yes, one could certainly these days with modern techniques. People have told me you could easily tell in animals whether the receptors of benzodiazepines change if you feed them benzos for a long time, and whether it comes back. So some don't come back to normal, so your nervous system can't function as normal. So you say that there are these research techniques now which would be very good at illustrating if there's a change, long-term changes in the functions of brains as a result of taking them now. We could.
In a recent medical article that you've written about benzodiazepines, you've said this problem has persisted for 50 years, but has been largely ignored by doctors, by consultants, by official bodies. That's a pretty damning statement, isn't it? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Why would the minutes of that MRC subcommittee embargoed? I can see no scientific reason for it. So I'm not going into a sort of conspiracy theory, but it's very difficult to avoid wondering what is actually going on here.
But you also said to the Sunday Independent that you regretted that you didn't push the issue more actively.
Yes, I do regret it. I mean, I felt perhaps I should have done, but there are times when it's rather nice to stop banging your head against the wall.
A penetrating light has been shone on the darkness hiding the benzodiazepine disaster by Professor Ashton and Professor Lader. Ironically, those who voluntarily take illegal drugs get substantial medical resources from our societies, while victims of doctor-induced illness from prescribed drugs often get little informed state help. The legal pharma industry can and has done much good, making drugs that save lives and alleviate illness. But there's no excuse for the scandalous neglect of this pandemic of life-destroying pain and suffering benzodiazepines have caused and continue to cause today. There's no excuse now either for the ignorance or negligence of the medical profession, who often wrongly prescribe them. Governments and health authorities have shamefully failed their societies, pandering to big pharma because of their economic muscle. Academic researchers too must recognise they have a social responsibility to investigate this disaster. It's long past time that these actors faced up to the truth about these drugs and started doing something about it.